Hey, what's up guys? Today we're gonna be mastering a track by an artist called Smokemachines. Smokemachines is one of the producers in my Wish remix compilation. I have that track right here and we're gonna listen to that now and keep an eye on the LUFS meter down here to see at what level that track is mastered. I made that master myself, so here it is. So around -8 is what I aimed for when mastering that track. And the other day I mastered another track called Living Dead. So we're going to have a look at that one as well. So let's go. So around the same level, -8. It's a little more bass heavy, that last track. So that is what I'm gonna be aiming for the flipper track when mastering that one. We're gonna have a listen now to the pre-master version and see what we're dealing with in terms of headroom and space for me to master. Let's listen. So around -21, which is a lot of headroom for me to work with, which is good. This meter right here is actually an equalizer, but it happens to have a LUFS meter, so that's what I use it for. If you're not familiar with the Ableton, they have a global master section, which is affecting all of the tracks you put here in your session. And here is where I put this is actually an EQ, which happens to have an LUFS meter, so that's why I use it for. But if you switch back to the specific track, you're gonna have an empty box here from the start. So here is where I'm gonna be putting all of my devices for mastering the track. There are a couple of ways to approach mastering. The way I do it is by referencing to other tracks that are already mastered, that I think sound proper, sound good, and that's why I have 2 references here in my session. And what I do is that I switch between the tracks and compare and try to get closer and closer, and in terms of the overall sound balance and loudness, etc., etc. So I'm gonna go like this. Between the 3 of them and compare, reference. So the first thing I add to the mastering chain is actually the last component of the chain, which is the limiter. And the reason for that is that I want to create a ceiling, and which I mix into. And reason number 2 is that the limiter is always gonna alter your sound. It's gonna add a little bit of coloring, and I want to be able to hear that all the time. So that's why I start by adding the limiter. I use the Ozone limiter, There are a couple of good limiters out there. For example, the Fabfilter L2 is a great limiter too. But I have the Ozone, and that's what I'm going to be using here. So first thing I do here is Spotify recommends you to have your loudest peak at minus 1 dB, -1. That's a true peak. Just set it here. The threshold is the actual compression you're applying to the mix, and to get your mix louder. There are a couple of different algorithms here in this limiter. I usually use the last one here, so that's the one I'm going to be using for this track as well. So let's have a listen to how the threshold is affecting this track. As you can see in the graph up here, it's that's the actual compression that's being applied to the mix. So, but I'm gonna leave this at the default setting for now. So after the limiter is there, I can start to add all of the other devices in the mastering chain. So from left to right, down here towards the limiter itself. This track is actually a little bit quiet, so I'm gonna start by adding a gain utility here, and basically just raise the volume a little bit. Let's do that right now. You can see in the graph here that it's hitting a little bit too hard, so this is obviously too much. I'm gonna back it off a little bit to say 6 dB, something like that. Should do. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it there. What I'm gonna do now is to actually already compare the sound as it is now to the references, and see how we're doing. So except for the loudness, of course, what I'm hearing is a little lack of. It's sounding a little thin. So what I'm gonna do now is to add a tape simulation. A tape does a couple of different things. It does a little bit of compression, and it gives you a little bit of saturation. The sound you're gonna get is a little bit warmer, a little bit more round, if that makes sense, a little bit fuller. So let's add this tape simulation to this and have a listen. I'm gonna bypass it first so you can hear the sound before. And after. That's without. So the effect is quite subtle, but you can hear it. There are two sliders here I can play with. This is for the lows and this is for the highs. So the track is lacking a little bit in the low end. So I'm gonna try to boost here a little bit and hear what that sounds like. I'm gonna put it to say 4 and have a listen. I'm gonna bypass A/B, the whole thing, so you can hear it. So have a look down here when I bypass. Without and with. I hope you can hear the difference. It's sounding a little bit fuller already. So I'm gonna keep it at that, and for now. Next thing I'm gonna add to this is not a limiter, it's an EQ. I use the Pro Q, which I think is one of the best limiters out there. Can highly recommend it. It's very transparent. And it's not coloring your sound too much, at least. And yeah, what I'm gonna do now is I want a little bit more punch in the kick. So I'm gonna be looking for the kick with the frequency band right here. I'm gonna be looking for the kick and try to boost it, give it a little boost. The Pro Q has a quite neat feature here where you can solo the band and just hear that part, which makes it great for finding stuff. So I'm gonna find the kick and give it a boost. So something around there, 50, 55 something hertz. I'm gonna increase the Q setting here because I want to hit just a kick and not the rest of the lows. Sounds good to me. I'm gonna keep it there. And let's compare to the references again. Well, what I'm gonna listen for now is the lower frequencies. I'm not gonna pay that much, too much attention to the mids or the highs. So the lows. Let's go. Not bad, not bad. For the fun of it, I'm gonna bypass the kick boost and the tape simulation. We can do that in Ableton here, by the way, by grouping these devices and bypass them as a package. Let's have a listen. So I hope you can hear the difference. It's still subtle, but it's getting there. Next, instead of boosting stuff, adding stuff, we're gonna be doing the opposite. Removing some frequencies that are that we don't want there. There is a frequency range around 90 to 150, something like that, that can easily add up, and your track becomes a little bit rumbling. So I'm gonna go search for that and see if I can find something there to remove. So I'm gonna put it at say 100, and let's go. I hope you can hear there. It's rumbling a little bit, not too bad actually. This makes, but around here, say at 90. It's quite subtle. Let's A/B this and see if we can hear the difference. So it's removing some of the rumble. So I'm gonna be adding this a couple of these frequency cuts up the spectrum, and trying to find disturbing frequencies and cutting them. Let's try here around 200 hertz and see what we find. Maybe a little cut here. Can hear a little bit of noise here. Not too much, not too bad, but I'm gonna keep the cut there. Can you hear this? It's a little bit noisy here too. I'm gonna keep it there and see what we can find further up the spectrum. It's a little bit noisy in there. Yeah, I think I definitely can cut here. Here is an example of a sound not being there all the time. So if I make a normal cut like this, it's gonna be affecting the sound permanently. What I can do is to apply a dynamic cut instead, which triggers when the sound gets over a certain threshold. So let's try that. Time for A-Being again. Let's have a listen. Definitely sounding a little cleaner. One more. Uh, 750 hertz. I can hear some noise in here too. Let's solo it and have a listen again. So yeah, so definitely gonna cut that a little bit. Sounding a little tighter. Let's go further up here. There are certain frequency ranges up around 4 to 5K, which can be a little disturbing too. So let's have a listen there. I think I'm gonna make a cut here. Like that. Let's try one last one down here between these two. That's a nasty one. Did you hear that? Listen to this. Nasty. Yeah, okay, let's make a cut there. One last one, right up here. Not too bad actually. In the higher range. Maybe some dynamic cut here. Could be. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it there. All right, let's reference again. See how we're doing. Yeah, we need a little bit more air and a little bit more of the higher frequencies. Just to be clear, the cuts I'm making here are kind of surgical stuff to remove the unwanted frequencies. What I'm going to do now is to add more of an overall shell for or band to the highs with this removed. And I'm gonna do that by adding another EQ here. Let's have a listen. Maybe there. And maybe a shelf. Let's try that out. And reference again. Getting closer. What I'm going to do now is to boost a little bit further down here. See what happens. As you can see, these boosts I'm doing here are a little bit broader. They are not as steep as the cuts I was making before to get rid of stuff. So I'm trying to increase kind of a broader part of the sound with this. And compare. I'm still missing a little bit of grit, which I'm gonna try to add by using an exciter. Four-band exciter, and you can solo the bands and hear what it's doing to each band. So let's have a listen to this. I'm bypassing it here to see if to see what it's adding. Adding a little bit more of grit to it. Have a listen. Without. Let's keep it like that and listen to the next. I think it's sounding better. Let me keep that and compare one more time. let me bypass these bumps I have here and see if it's actually sounding better or if it's making things worse. Let's have a listen. Maybe if I just back it off a little bit. Something like that. And this one. Yeah, a little bit too much as well, so I'm gonna back it off a little bit. Something like that. All right. Next, I have this plugin, which is a transistor emulation. I'm not completely sure what it does. It colors the sound a little bit, gives it a little more thickness, if you will. Let's use it and see, so you can hear for yourself. There are a couple of presets here. I'm gonna use this one. I usually use this or this. Let's try them out. Bypass it and AB. Let me try the other one. This one. Another preset. It's coloring a little bit too much. I think I like the first one better. But I am hearing a little rumble again when adding this. So I might need to cut a little bit before feeding the sound into this plugin. Let me have a listen. Yeah, could be that. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna add another one between the two EQs that are there. So I can have a blank canvas here to work with. I'm gonna leave it there, and I'll see if I can cut a little more here. because I think it's getting too busy down here with all the plugins further up. So let's have a listen. Maybe here. All right. Let's try to bypass this EQ here and hear the difference. Yeah, listen to this. It's a little bit cleaner when I activate the device. Have a listen. All right, I think I'm gonna keep that. So let's reference again. All right, we're getting closer. It got dark all of a sudden. And I'm just kidding with you guys. I had to take a large break. We got the kids from school, and then we had dinner. In Sweden, we have Taco Fredag, which is we have tacos on Friday, which is a nice tradition. So now I'm back. The good thing with taking a break, which is super important, is that you start hearing things that you didn't hear before. And I was listening a little bit to the mix, and I found it to be quite heavy in the low end. So I think I'm gonna back it off a little bit in the tape saturation. Start there. The exciter that I added, I'm gonna back it off a little bit too, I think. So let's have a look. Let's have a listen and see what we do. The low end first. It's better, right? Was a little bit too much, too intensive in the low end at 4. Again. And reference. Yeah, let's save it there. Let's play around a little bit with the exciter again. And reference here too. Because now we're coming to the point where we have altered the sound quite a bit, and we're kind of trying to make this this finer adjustments now. So let's go with the references. It might be a little bit too much. Let me back it off a little bit. Yeah, better. Let's have a look at this one, where I made these broad boosts. And what if we want to keep them or back them off a little bit. Sorry, wrong band. This one. Yeah, something like that. And this one. Yeah, definitely too much. I'm hearing that now. Didn't hear that before. So, take breaks. I'm gonna remove this one for now. I'm not sure about this one. I'm gonna give it off, keep it off for now. What have we done until this point? We added the tape simulation to add some warmth, some thickness and roundness to it. It is adding a little bit of low frequency content here. We had too much at first. We backed it off a little bit. Next up is the kick boost, and all of the surgical cuts. I might be coming back to this, guys, and see if they are really needed or if I remove them entirely or back them off a little bit. The next device are the cuts, which I needed to do because I added the transistor emulation up here. So that's how I treat it. The little bumps higher up the spectrum. Remember we had this this high shelf here, which I am a little uncertain about. So we'll see what we do with that. Then the exciter, which is doing a tiny bit of saturation in this frequency range here between 424 and 2.3K. And the last one was the transistor emulation that was supposed to thicken up the sound a little bit. Last component I'm gonna be adding is a multiband compressor. The reason for that is that I want to kind of tame, I guess, the different frequency ranges, the different bands. There are 4 bands in this one, so I try not to make that unit work too hard usually. So just to balance the sound, I guess. All right, so let's add it here. We have our 4 bands here. And you can see the frequency ranges up here. First one up to 140, 2K, up to 10K, and then up to 20K. I keep almost everything at the default setting, except for the attack in the higher bands, which I usually turned down quite a bit to get a fast attack up here and a little slower attack at the bottom. The reason for having a little slower attack down here is that I don't want to kill the transients coming from the kick. So I want kind of a little more subtle response when compressing this band. So let's bypass everything but the low frequency, and let's have a listen. All right, so it's sounding fatter in solo. So I'm gonna listen to the entire thing here and see if it actually is better to have the lowest band this fat. I'm gonna bypass it as well to hear the difference. It's thicker. Let's reference to the other tracks. Yeah, not bad. I'm gonna keep it there. Next band, first in solo. By the way, they always say don't EQ in solo. Always EQ. I mean, when you mix, don't EQ in solo. EQ in context. I'm compressing these bands in solo. I think what you do is, as long as you listen to the entire track without having things in solo when you're referencing, you should be fine. So anyway, let's have a look. Maybe catch some peaks a little faster in this band at 10 milliseconds or something like that. So some gain compensation could do. Let's say B again. Maybe a little bit too much. I set it to 1 dB. A little tighter, I think. Reference. Yeah, why not? Why not? Next band. And a little faster attack here at 5 milliseconds. Let's go. I hope you can hear that. It's like it's tightening up the it's not all over the place. It's a little more focused. Have a listen again. Before. After. It's quite subtle, I know. And unsolo the band and listen. Yeah. Last band. From 10K and up. And here I'm gonna apply a super fast attack, and I think I'm gonna compress it quite a lot. We'll see. Let's have a listen. Bypass. So some gain. And unsolo it and listen. What we're going to do now is to bypass the whole thing. You can do it here, but you can do it with this button here too. Maybe a little more visible to do it here. So check this out. First bypass. So what do you think? Sorry guys, what do you think? What I'm hearing is that I don't know why, but I'm hearing that it gets a little wider, as well as you get a little more depth to it. Could be my imagination, but one more bypassed at first, and then I'm gonna activate it. And reference. Yeah, not bad at all. Let me bypass the entire chain in between the gain raise or gain what do you call it? The gain and the limiter itself. So I'm gonna start with it activated, and I'm gonna bypass. This is interesting. I hope you can hear the difference. To me, it's quite a bit of difference. Let's check. Let's have a look at the LUFS. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it here, down here, as I did at the beginning of this video, the LUFS metering. I'm gonna apply a little bit more of gain reduction here to see how far we can go with the loudness. Let's check it out. We might have a little bit too much high frequency content. Have a look, have a listen. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be going back to maybe this guy, but before I do that, I have Ozone have this this matching tool where you can compare EQ curves. So if you have a tool like this, you can use it to compare between a reference and your current track. So let's do that. So yellow would be the the reference. Yeah, so you run it for a couple of seconds until you get a stabilized curve, and then we go for the new track. So yeah, this is interesting. Could be lacking a little bit here, but I'm not I'm not too worried about this. But up here, it seems to be a little too much content here. So let's have a look at that. That would be between 2 and 3K somewhere. So what did I do here? Could be this guy, which I need to remove, or even bring even make a cut. So let's check this out. Definitely better, don't you think? Let's compare. Better in my opinion. So I mean, when you get in this far in the process, it becomes a matter of taste sometimes. So you might like the boost in the higher frequencies compared to the reference, or you might want to have it as close to the reference as possible. So it's for you to decide that. Let's bring up the LUFS metering again here before we wrap this up. I think I could be able to push this a little bit more. We are at -8.3 now. I would like a little bit more gain to match the other tracks. How are we gonna do that? Obviously, I'm gonna be increasing the threshold here to reach that point. Let's have a listen. It's gonna be crashing a little bit, I think. There. Yeah, we have the loudness, but we have a little bit of, I don't know what to call that, artifacts or something. I'm going to try this. I'm going to go back to this EQ here, and I'm going to be making a cut around here somewhere, because I think that is what is crashing a little bit. Let's have a look at this. Could be too much frequency content in this area here. Let's have a listen. Something like that. Let's see if we can remove this guy right here. I'm not really sure about this one. Let's have a listen. I think it's better without that guy. I'm gonna try another thing up here. Might be some harshness adding up here. Let me try this. Could be. Yeah, sounding definitely better. Let's have a look at the multiband compressor here. I might be a little bit too bright. So yeah, seems good to me. I might have a look again at the at this boost. It might be a little too aggressive. Let's listen. Let's put it there instead. So the whole purpose of this boost is to make the kick punchier, not to increase the overall rumbling. Yeah. Let's see here. You hear that? It's a lot adding up there. Let's put a dynamic cut here. Yeah, something like that. And so I'm gonna wrap it up here. I hope you guys learn stuff, and if you want to ask me something, do it in the comments below. And until next time, and thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye.